I'm Kitty.
And I'm Max.
And this is
Dango
Duo! Welcome back to fall 2018. It's in the past.
You're in the future, we're in the past.
We're checking out the past of the past.
Now that's what I call fall anime, volume 2018.
This week we're going to be taking a look at SSSS.Gridman.
SSSS.Gridman, Kitty?
Yeah.
The Ultraman slash mecha slash kaiju show from last season?
That's correct.
I am excited.
I hope you are, because we've already seen this.
Yeah, well... Oh, right, Kitty. Could you tell me what SSSS.Gridman is all about?
You bet your butt I can. So, SSSS.Gridman is an anime adaptation of the 1993/1994 tokusatsu, which is basically a live-action show with a shit-ton of special effects, called Gridman the Hyper Agent. This is a collaboration between Subudaya Productions and Studio Trigger, Subudaya being the ones who do Ultraman and the original Gridman. This is also a reference to the American adaptation Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, which was airing from 1994 to 1995. Studio Trigger had already collaborated with Subudaya Productions on a work called Denko Chojin Gridman, Boys Invent Great Hero, which was a short that one of the Trigger guys made because he was a super fan of Gridman, which is basically like a sequel to the original Gridman, and it basically greenlit the entire production of SSSS.Gridman.
The story of this 12-episode anime series follows a young man, Yuta Hibiki, who happens to have amnesia and wakes up in the fictional Japanese city of Tsutsujidai. In this place, he meets the titular Gridman, becomes a hyper agent, and through the story learns about the mysterious kaiju that show up in the city.
There's a lot more to this anime than meets the eye upon first glance, but we're going to leave it at that for now so that if you intend to watch this, go off and learn all the fun plot twists yourself.
We're going to be very careful with spoilers so that you can watch this review, and then if it inspires you to watch the anime, you can enjoy it without any spoilers. So, let's take it from the top. Kitty, what did you enjoy the most about SSSS.Gridman?
You know, honestly, the pacing and the writing is really good in this anime. It's, like, very solid. Studio Trigger does a good job at making sure each episode has its own little mystery or its own, thread to keep you going into the next episode. Everything, something happens in pretty much every episode that keeps you wanting more, and it just continues to build upon itself. Things you see in the opening come back throughout the entire series, making it feel like a full, complete story that they, planned from the beginning. When you come to the end of Gridman, you realize that nothing was really wasted throughout this entire production. From the character designs, to the opening, to the, the actual song for the opening, everything feels like it's cohesive, feels together, and it really works together.
Something that I want to add really quickly, if I can,
yes,
is that I cannot stress, this is not my positive, but I want to stress Kitty's point that the writing here is very effective. It feels effortless because it's so very well written. As she said, there is not a single detail wasted. Every single thing in the opening comes back into the story, and it is meaningful. This is the kind of writing that I love to experience. I'm going to talk about my positive in a second. But because Kitty and I both do storytelling for a living, and we analyze storytelling. We watch shows and we tear them apart because it is our job to analyze stories. And we both got to enjoy Gridman. We found no story nitpicks.
No, there are small things, and we'll talk about them in the negatives, but it wasn't enough to ruin the series as a whole.
Absolutely not. This is a fantastic, well-written, imaginative story.
And it takes you by surprise, because I thought when we first watched this, I was like, oh, it's a, a kid's show to sell some toys. It's not.
It is not.
It's really not. Now, Max, what did you like the most about SSSS.Gridman?
What I love the most about SSSS.Gridman
Gridman
is that I really felt the love for this world and these characters and the designs, especially when we were looking up into what all the character designs mean. There is so much work. There is so much work into this, and I grew up. I remember watching Power Rangers and Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. When I was young, I would come home from school and I would watch those shows. By the way, that is cyber with an S.
Obviously, so that's the triple S.
Quadruple S.
Excuse me.
And there is details and references to the American show. It's crazy imagining that not only Trigger, but the main production company...
Subudaya Productions.
...gathered details from the old Japanese Gridman series and the American Gridman series and combined them into this... It all feels as though... And it's weird to say this, especially about anime, but this feels like a product of love.
Yes.
It really... There is so much care and effort into this show, and it's strange because, as Kitty mentioned, I went into this expecting it to be a kid's show, which is not.
No.
It is not.
No.
Or be a show for selling figures, and it's not. It doesn't.
No.
It really doesn't.
No.
Shows like that have entire episodes where you're just seeing all the toys show up, and this show doesn't do that. There is a lot of heart to this and a lot of sincerity.
And when you see kind of the, we were watching a couple of videos on this, when you see the inspiration and the love for mechs as a whole, you can kind of see it in the character designs, which, should I talk about?
I would rather people watch the show and then found out.
Fair. So, once you're done with Gridman, look up all of the references that Gridman is kind of based on and pulls from and draws from. You will totally see that this crew, which was actually Trigger's B team, because I believe at the time Trigger's A team was working on Darling in the Franxx, the Trigger's B team has a love for mechs.
Yeah.
And not just Japanese mech and Ultraman kind of shows, but American ones as well, which is really cool to see.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, as it is custom here at Dango Duo, we do not just talk about the positives. We question media, we criticize media, we look at it objectively and ask ourselves, what did we not like about it? Kitty, what did you dislike the most about this show?
Mine's really a nitpick, honestly. There were a couple of questions that didn't feel like they had clear answers or answers at all that kind of just... got left in the wayside. I mean, it is a 12-episode series, and who knows if they're going to come back to it. It seems sort of doubtful with the ending. But there were a few things that just didn't get answered. And also, the other minor nitpick is there is a plot twist towards the very end of the show that is revealed in a pretty confusing way. So we were confused for a good, 10 minutes. So... It wasn't bad. The twist itself was fine, but the actual revealing of the twist was very clumsy.
It almost makes me wonder if it was a matter of the translation that handled the delivery of that ineffectively, or if it was just the Japanese, the source material itself handled it badly. And just as a one little bit, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No worries.
When Kitty says that there's a couple of story threads that are not closed up, she literally means there's two things.
Is there two?
I think there's just two things.
Yeah, it's very,
there's
very
that
small.
thing and that thing. And that's sort of the only two things that don't get fully wrapped up by the end of the story. But yeah, sorry for cutting you off.
Not at all. What is your negative about this series?
My one negative about this show is
I agree.
and she already agrees. You already know.
Oh, I already know.
I really enjoyed this show. Especially the way that it handled its antagonist.
Yes.
It is very well done. It is very effective writing. The one thing that I have to point out, because it is our duty here, this show, its good writing does not give it a pass. There is a couple of times early on in the series where we have fan service of our two central female characters.
And it's unnecessary.
It is unnecessary, it is out of nowhere, and you can tell they just drop it because it never is referenced ever again. There's also a little bit of what we have, as LGBT plus writers and people, there's a little bit of gay baiting going on with the two central female characters that it feels really unnecessary. It feels like wanting to have your cake and eat it too. You want to have, or the perception of possibility these two girls
could be in love with each other.
Could be in love with each other, but you don't have any, or you don't take any particular steps towards actually addressing that.
No.
And that right there, I have to actually call it out. That's not good writing. If you want to have queer people in your story, do it. It's actually not that
Just
hard.
do it.
But if you want to have the perception of, are these two girls gay? Isn't it scandalous? It isn't. It's actually pretty okay.
And they did not. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay.
They didn't really handle it well, even at the end, where like it was very muddy and cloudy as to whether or not one girl felt that way about the other.
Yeah.
So it was not even handled well, even though at that point it was like at the forefront is this what we think this is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Can I really talk about it?
We don't want to make it seem like this is one of the main plots, but it's something that comes up time and time again between their relationship that is never touched on fully. And I don't want to call it cowardice. I don't know if it's cowardice or laziness or wanting to have your cake and eat it too.
I think they wanted to have their cake and eat it too because there's hints of romance between the main boy and the main girl. Mm-hmm. So they wanted that, but also the romance between the two girls, perhaps.
Yeah,
so I honestly think they were just dipping their toes in too many pools and just ain't working out for them.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. It is not the biggest negative in the world, but it is our duty to point it out. Now, Kitty, we have looked at the positives, we have looked at the negatives. They're not all equals. Nope. As you mentioned, yours was a little bit more of a nitpick, and mine is more of a PSA, really, when you get down to it.
Fair.
Considering the pluses and the negatives, do we recommend SSSS.Gridman?
Yes. I don't want to say go in with, medium to low expectations and you'll find a lot out of it, because there is good stuff here. It's better than your typical sort of show that you would think this is. And I honestly think even if you're not a big fan of the Ultraman style sort of things, that you should give it a chance.
As I mentioned, the writing in this is really good. Even considering its shortcomings, the story is very concise, very well told. I know it's a little bit of an oxymoron, but I would almost say that SSSS.Gridman is the standard for what your writing should be. Nothing is wasted. Everything comes back. There's a couple of open-ended things that make me think maybe they might do a second season, though I don't know how that would work. But let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's very concise. It's very well told. We devoured the last 4 episodes because we just had to know. There's a very effective twist here, and if you grew up watching shows like Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, you're gonna jump into here and immediately go, wait a minute.
That's a reference to that.
Is this what I think it is? And the answer is yes, it is, and it's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
It falters at times, but it's very fun and very effectively told, and it's got a crazy plot twist that unless you know about Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, you will probably never see coming.
You will not see coming.
You will not see it coming. And that to me feels like the best reward to someone. Like, if you remember this show, watching this will make you go, oh no,
yeah.
Are we doing this?
Oh yeah,
are we doing
this?
Happened. Yeah. So,
and even if you're not a fan of if you've never seen Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, which I keep misremembering which order these words go in, but it's fine. It's SSSS. Even if you haven't watched that, it's a fun ride. It's still a fun ride, and you will not see the plot twists coming, which honestly makes it kind of more fun in a way.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's a really fun show that doesn't appear like it would be that fun, but it just and strangely enough, I thought we were gonna spend half of the season just establishing things. But
who's the baddie, who's the goodie, who are these people? Yeah. But by episode 6, we know everyone knows who the baddie is.
Yeah, and the big questions are starting to being asked.
Yes.
And as Kitty said on her positive, the show starts running and does not stop.
No, maybe the first episodes are a little slow, but it's not wasted.
Yeah, there's still so much mystery going on. You have to set up all
this stuff, and then by the time one mystery kind of gets solved, more mysteries are cropping up, so it keeps you wanting more throughout the entire series.
Now, Kitty, if our viewers have already seen SSSS.Gridman, what else would we recommend for them to watch?
Well, your recommendation is the more real version of Gridman, and my recommendation is just watch more Trigger stuff, honestly. Yeah. Except Darling in the Franxx.
As Kitty's saying, if you enjoyed this, especially the animation and the bombasticness, we definitely recommend more Trigger stuff. Not Darling in the Franxx, because that's not... You may think,
no good.
It's mechs and it's Trigger, why wouldn't it be good?
What could go wrong? Many things.
The answer is... apparently, the writer of the A team is not as good as the writer of the B team, apparently. Shots fired.
Yeah.
My recommendation is that if you watch the thing, you go, I want to see some more stuff with mechs in it.
But more real.
Yeah, I want to see the realest mechs ever. I recommend looking up the Gundam miniseries, Gundam Thunderbolt. That is the rawest, realest mechs ever. And if you are the kind of person who you like war shows, or like if you've seen Band of Brothers, you like that realness plus giant robots, I recommend Gundam Thunderbolt. You will cry. And there you have it. These have been our thoughts on SSSS.Gridman.
Woo!
If you really enjoyed this video, or if we inspired you to check it out, or if we were just good company during your lunch break, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. We are an anime and Let's Play channel. We do lots of content, and if you're interested in our own personal accounts and what we do, Twitter's on the screen right now. At LadyKittyLynn for idols.
/ band things, because
Brandor. Yeah.
Cats, chinchillas.
Yep. Our babies.
And other anime, some bullshit.
Yep. And at MistreKirin for writing advice and shit posts.
And writing shit posts.
It's what I do. BYOP, guys. Remember, BYOP. And, of course, the Dango Duo Twitter accounts.
Yeah.
If you want to give us a little something, we have an Amazon wish list.
We do.
If you treat us to something from that wish list, we will make a video on it, even if it's a game or an anime series. We have a little bit of a backlog right now. We're still allocating Elfenlied. Someone bought us all of Elfenlied.
Thanks, ?
Thanks, ? We're gonna watch that, I promise. And of course, if you want to support us more long term and get cool rewards, we have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Dango Duo is the #1 place to support us and what we do. By pledging just $1, you get to watch these videos in advance, as well as many other cool perks, such as shoutouts at the end of the video.
Shoutouts like the following people: Alexa Hoshi,
Amelia,
Angela,
Erosos,
Leire,
Luna Lapis,
and our new Patreon, Sound.
Hey, Sound!
Hello, thanks for joining.
Thanks for tagging along.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. We're not recording this on Valentine's Day, and it's going up on Valentine's Day. But that's when you signed up.
That's when you signed up, so happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, thank you for your support,
Yeah.
Sound. And thank you to the rest of our patrons.
The rest of you lovelies.
Alright, Kitty, it's time for us to go.
We gotta go.
It's time for us to sign out. I forget what the Gridman call sign thingy is.
Access Flash.
Oh yeah, Accessu Flashu!
We out of here. We're going into cyberspace.
Oh man, is this the internet?
Oh man, is this the XCOM?
Oh, is this the X? Oh, the internet. So much porn.
So much
Jesus
porn.
Christ.
My God.
Finally, a place where I belong.
Jesus.